North Hudson Public Works Committee. This meeting has been properly noticed, and we are at the appointed time. Roll call will indicate that all three of the trustees on the committee are present. A quorum has been established. We also have our village engineer and our Public Works supervisor. Minutes for our last meeting, which was held on 16 July, have been distributed. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, those minutes will stand approved as presented. Shopyards project. Kevin, this has been ongoing. I think we're getting close. I'm going to turn it over to you. It looks like we've had successful bids that have been presented. We're closer as far as our easements. Take it away, sir.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, we had our bid opening here last Thursday for the Shopyards project, and passed out a memorandum from us. So basically we had 10 contractors that pulled out plans and specs, and out of the 10 we had 6 of them that actually submitted bids. And on the bid tabulation, it gives you an idea of all the different contractors that did submit numbers for the project. And it looks like Total Excavating, which is out of River Falls, came in with the lowest bid at $359,128 when you itemize all the different things as part of the project, which consists of sanitary sewer, water main, and then the access road for that total project cost at the bottom. From there, you can see the next lowest bid was just under $400,000. It's about a $37,000 swing, and it ranges all the way up to close to $440,000. So between the first and the second, there is a pretty substantial difference there. And what we do when we get close to bidding the project out, we kind of go back through and look at the quantities and see what the items are. Come up with a tally to see, before we bid it out for like an engineer's estimate. And prior to the bidding, we had an estimate of just under $390,000. So it came in under that amount. So Total Excavating, they used to be F&K. They've started up, I think it was just within the last year. We did call Jim Fry from the city of Hudson. We knew that they did some work over by the old wayside, and he had good comments about them, so that was something that we wanted to hear. I know they are working down in Ellsworth, and they have done some work in the city of River Falls this year. So with that, we are recommending that the project be awarded to Total Excavating in the amount of $359,128.
I have, over the years, worked with the principals of Total Excavating in their previous company. I have confidence in their capacity. I ask you, sir, in your professional opinion, looking at the range of the bids and the low bid from Total Excavating, are we looking at apples to apples? Do we have a totally inclusive bid? You're comfortable with their bid of the $359,000, and you are in fact recommending that we award the bid to them?
Correct. Yep.
Kevin,
discussion.
Yeah, just to ask
Sure.
about this. I'm looking at the page 1, page 2.
Okay.
And okay, total. So each of them bid on each one of these items. Who prepared these items? Was that Cedar Corp?
What we prepare is everything on the left-hand side of this page. So, all the different items as part of the project, like sanitary sewer, you have first item, sanitary sewer laterals. You have a main, you have some saddles. These are all the items that we put together as part of a bid package along with the quantities.
Now, assuming that the board will agree with you and with anticipating us regarding Total Excavating, what is the track record on projects like this for unforeseen? Number one, and number two, do you work with, I'm sure you do because I've been familiar with your work as well, but as we go through this, do we listen to the total excavating, when they say, you really don't need this, or maybe we should do it this way so that there are deviations down the road, and what that impact might be on the bid? Am I making my question clear enough?
What George is trying to say is, they use a software for this, like Xactimate, right?
Yeah.
Where they just, you put out the project, they type in all the measurements,
Well,
you
we,
type in what the job is, and for contractors, they're called Xactimate, the software, and it prints it all out, just like your left-hand side here, with what they charge.
yeah, the only thing that the contractor puts in is the unit price,
Yeah,
that dollar amount. Everything on the left side is what we put together as part of the final plans and specs.
right.
Unit, how many linear feet of sewer we're looking at doing.
So the
based
second
on-
part of the question, and correct me if I'm not saying this correctly, is after this 359,000, they're not gonna come back and say, and ask for a subsidy and say, hey, we forgot about this, or we ran into this issue. This is all, this price right here does not exceed that, correct?
What governs is the unit price. These quantities, again, can fluctuate a little bit, maybe a little more sewer, maybe a little less.
Are you talking hardware, like the concrete 4-inch, or the 35 8-foot pipes? Is that what you're saying it's gonna fluctuate?
Could fluctuate a little bit after everything's installed. Maybe it'll end up being a little more linear footage of 4-inch sewer that we put in, or a little bit less.
So is the price guaranteed within a couple percent?
Typically, it comes in pretty close to this. The only thing that we have to be concerned about down in that area is it's a real old part of the village. And we know there's some old steam lines down there. We know there's some old storm sewer down there. Foundations. So there might be something that they hit during construction that we're going to have to deal with. And that would come to the
So,
committee and the village board as a change order.
all right,
But it's
what
not
I see
construction,
here,
right?
now I understand a little bit better. They are giving a unit price for each of the items that you specified.
Yep.
No matter who gets the job, they're going to run into exactly the same thing, no matter who they are.
Right.
And there will have to be adjustments. So I would be very reluctant to say to the board, approve an amount of $359,128 and no cents. I think we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot if we were to do that. Am I right?
Typically, this is how it's on other jobs. We've always done it. It's this number. By the time it's all done and said, is probably going to fluctuate some.
Yeah.
How
So-
much is anybody's guess? But typically, if everything goes smooth, it's going to be within 5% easy.
I understand
Well, it
that.
would seem to me, George, that what we are considering is a bid amount, a specific bid amount, based on the plans and specs that were presented by Cedar Corp. What I'm hearing Kevin say, if there is an unforeseen circumstance, the unit price in their bid amount will not
change.
vary.
That will not
If
vary.
there's an additional saddle, or 5 feet more of pipe, or
Yep.
5 feet less of pipe,
Right.
Yep.
that will get factored in the final bid, but we're accepting a bid based on their known plans and specs for this project.
Right.
I
Yep.
think that's
I will
what you're
be
really saying.
interested in
That's correct.
hearing the wording of the motion then.
You're gonna be doing it.
Not me. You-
Yeah, good point.
I'm interested in doing it too, George.
Like Kevin was saying, the biggest thing with this is if there is something unforeseen found, especially something that's gonna be a major cost, like, who knows, we could find a locomotive buried down there.
Yeah, we never. Yeah.
And that's gonna be a
Find
change
a
order.
Bugatti too.
At least the block. That's something that, we've had it seems like every project that we've ever done in the village, or at least the majority of them, unless it's in a area which is considered a virgin area, like a brand new subdivision or something like that.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah.
On the 7th Street project, when we did that, we found half a Model A buried right down the street.
You found a what?
Half a Model A buried in the street.
So he's not.
No, not kidding.
Yeah, if we don't know
Straight
what
line
we're going to
over
hit down there.
No.
Yeah.
We also down 7th in Wisconsin found a old part of a gas. Actually, where it actually changed the gas main valving system.
Yeah.
They just filled in the old concrete structure, and we actually had to dig that structure out of our way. It was a change order. It's something that, does
I haven't
happen.
had a chance to read through the pages because, 2 pages because we just got this.
Sure.
Is there something in there about a cost for digging up the old railroad lines?
There isn't. We actually made that incidental to the water main. It is spelled on the plan, so, the village is covered that way.
When I talked to Dan Barber recently, he said that Harvey wants that, and he figures that he owns those rails.
Yep. And that is outlined on the construction plans.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Chair, I got a question. If something happens where, worst case scenario, you do find a locomotive down there, does this halt construction until we reevaluate the cost, or does it keep going and we figure it out then?
I'll have the engineer answer that.
Yeah,
I don't think it
Typically, we work that out
project.
during
keeps
construction.
It's
Yeah,
just an
because-
unforeseen circumstance.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
Usually what we'll do is, Kevin's on the site engineer and notify myself, and Kevin will meet on site along, sometimes it's the public works chair, sometimes it's the village president. And basically, we say, okay, we have to get this out of our way to continue the project. And then when the change order comes in, it comes back to this committee saying,
Put the fire out when it comes in.
Yeah, we have
Got
to
it.
address it.
And there
right
often
away.
are. I mean, over the years, I dealt with a lot of commercial construction projects, and there are things that you didn't anticipate. All of a sudden, they're down there and they find a 15-ton boulder or something.
Right.
Well, nobody knew that was there. I mean, there are things.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with your analysis, Kevin.
Okay.
I'm comfortable, as I said, with the principals and their previous experience. They've done a lot of work. They've got a new company name, but they've done a lot of work. They're very experienced. Chair would entertain a motion based on the pleasure of the committee.
I'll move that we accept the recommendation of the Cedar Corp representative to award the project to Total Excavating in amount not to exceed $360,000. And this amount may need to be adjusted as the project gets underway.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the project to the low bidder, which is Total Excavating of River Falls. We probably at this point have discussed it in its entirety, but is there any additional discussion? This would be a recommendation to Village Finance and Village Board that we proceed with the project. So our vote here does not start the project, but it's a recommendation. Did you have an additional comment, George?
Only that if either you or Paul would like to amend the motion, if I misspoke, or if there's something that you would want in there for more clarity, feel free to say so.
Chair's comfortable with your motion.
Paul, you okay?
Yeah, if it has to get changed, it will
Yeah.
later on.
Very good.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, and the motion carries unanimously. We will recommend to the Village Finance and Village Board that we award the bid as indicated and proceed with the project. Kevin, then update us on the status of where we're at as far as moving forward. We do have one of the 3 remaining easements, to my knowledge. Where are we at on the other 2?
So basically, if you remember at the last village board meeting, we had 3 of them that were outstanding. And there's 2 of them that are still sitting out there that we need to get executed. Everybody else has signed and sealed all the documents. So, we have about 2 weeks to get that executed. I have been talking with SeaWorld, and he's working with his attorney and surveyor just to make sure everything is in order. And I guess we'll have to work with Vintage Properties and just see where they stand for the.
What indication are they giving to us at this point with their intent?
I think he just wants to, look at what we provided him for documents, what Gloria had found the last time, and just verify that, that strip of land is actually the 30-foot easement. So basically, the 97 document allows the village to put utilities within the 30-foot access area. I think he just wants to verify that that is a true statement.
Do they recognize that we need these easements signed and sealed and delivered to us by the village board meeting, or this project can't continue?
Yep. We will make them aware of that.
They already do know that too.
Yeah. And, you know, from what you see for prices, I mean, I think it's a very competitive number that you have here, and I would hope that we could get that addressed, because if we look at bidding the next spring, it's, you know,
Kevin,
pipe prices are going to go
How
up.
much of that is the asphalt?
So basically, down at the bottom, where it says access road,
Oh, is that, okay.
yeah, so the total price is about $94,000, and that actually is less than what the preliminary assessment report had in it. So if everything goes per plan, they will see a reduction from what's shown in the preliminary assessment report. It's going to be less than that. I think it was around $7,000 per parcel.
They need to know that, too.
Yep.
Anything else from any committee member on the Shop Yards project? Thanks, Kevin. Mark, anything? We good?
I think we're covered it.
408 6th Street North drainage problem, agenda item number 4.
Basically, in front of you, I have a small memo. Again, this is basically.
This has been an ongoing situation.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. It's due to standing water both on the sidewalk in front of that residence and then also in the street in there. And I agree with homeowner. It is a very unsafe situation, especially during the wintertime with the ice buildup in those areas and stuff like that. And as we discussed, we actually I dealt with Gary Zappa. We kind of figured out a way. You have a couple options here from Cedar Corp, are basically revised options that Kevin redone that were first brought to the Public Works Committee back in 2011. And, you know, basically, I gave you copies of all of them. Basically, what I feel and Gary Zappa agrees would probably the best way would be is try to get the water off that area and everything else as fast as possible. Best way to do that is set a catch basin near the lowest part, you know, the lowest area of that thing. Actually, we'd have to move an 8-foot section of curb and actually get the water to drain into the right-of-way. At that time, we'd also lift the sidewalk. We'd have some, instead of replacing the entire sidewalk, we'd have somebody come in, mud jack, lift the sidewalk, angle it towards the catch basin or towards the street, and then regrade the street, everything else. By setting the catch basin where we can set it at the curb line, we can actually run a new storm pipe behind the existing curb instead of ripping out the existing curb and gutter, and we can hook into the back of the existing catch basin. I believe this would be the cheapest way to get the thing taken care of at this time.
Sounds like the right way to do it.
So that's kind of what we were looking at.
Mark, when we've talked about this in the past, and I believe it's been in front of this committee at least 2 times previously, when we've talked about it and tried to come to some resolution, it seems to me that it was not ever precisely defined the responsibility of the village and the responsibility of the property owner. Are we now, and I'm not trying to assign any fault here, I just want to see it clearly. Are we now indicating, and are we on firm ground, that this is village responsibility and this is a problem that the village should resolve? Is that what we're saying?
I believe so. It is because basically the street, when Kevin and I took shots a couple years ago, you could tell that the street had settled quite a bit. And some of it might be when we redid the intersection in 2001, when we actually put in the newer curb and gutter, repaved that section of the street, for the intersection and everything else. And I think just with the rest of it being older and everything else, it just settled with all the work being done in there, and that's why, it just basically, I think standing water is just, due to both more flow going into that intersection and everything else from the project back that we did, and then also with just the settling of it, that was
Is that the
happening.
one at Wisconsin Street?
But, no, it's Monroe.
It's right over here.
Oh, it's
Right,
that.
right,
Oh,
it's
right
right
across
across
from Owens.
from Owens.
Right across
Yeah.
the mountains.
And when it rains, and there's heavy rain, water stands there. In the winter, it freezes.
Wintertime
I mean, there's a
freezes.
problem. I
We're down there
recognize
salting
that.
it all the time. And we have been last couple of winters, we take our machine down there and we try to clean up as much as we can to try to get the water to go towards that catch basin. But
So we're spending money on it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
get it done so we don't have to spend any more money on it.
Yep.
Well, it seems pretty clear that option 3,
Yeah.
unless you guys are seeing something I don't see, option 3 looks like the proper, as you say, the right way to do it.
Actually, in the way it would be is that actually you're going to look at two different options here, and that's why I kind of left it separate because, that's why we discussed it here. Option 3 would be for Zappas to do the catch basin, the curb and gutter in, the storm pipe, going in. Also, you would, up on top where it says the first problem, everything else is standing water in the sidewalk. So you'd have to have one recommendation, could have level right concrete raised sidewalk up. Then also a separate option or second motion, for Zappa Brothers to do the storm sewer work.
Yeah, but the raising of the concrete is only $445.
Right.
Yeah.
But altogether, it's going to equal,
Right, right. Chair would entertain a motion based on the committee's preference.
Your turn.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Still there.
Still waiting. I recommend that we forward the following recommendation to the board. Regarding the 408 6th Street North drainage problem, that we contract with Level Right Concrete Lifting LLC to raise the sidewalk at a cost of $445. And furthermore, that Gary Zappa and Zappa Brothers, Inc. Be contracted to grade the boulevard so water will flow from the street into the new catch basin as described in option 3. That would be at a cost of $5,280 for a total cost for this project of $5,725.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to proceed with this project that we have viewed it several times in the past. There are two parts of it as articulated in the motion, the raising of the concrete sidewalk and the installing the 8-inch storm sewer pipe connecting to a new catch basin. Any additional comments or discussion from the committee?
When could these two, when could this project be done?
Actually, what we would do is, I'm talking with Gary Zappa, what he would do is he would tie it in with the, what we still have to do to fix the Michelson Street curb and gutter due to the storm damage, and also the catch basins that he's going to be rebuilding. So all would be tied in together at the same time. And he, hopefully, what he was telling me, he would like to start those at the end of this month. He already called for locate, so.
Very good. That's what I wanted to hear.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, and that carries unanimously. Number 5, Village Hall HVAC system replacement. I assume this falls under the responsibility of whatever trustee was in charge of this project, and they pay for this personally? Is that the way this works on a project like this? or what?
No, that's not how it works.
Oh, all right. Well, we've got some problems with the HVAC.
We have
Mark,
had problems with that since the day.
tell
we
us about
started.
it.
Well, basically, like George was saying, since the day we actually moved in the addition, we started having problems with some areas. Some of the offices would be a lot colder than some of the other staff liked. We couldn't adjust the system.
The motorcycle in the way?
Go ahead, move it. Keys in it. Move it. It's
What?
fine.
You brought your bike too?
Yeah. Someone can move it.
Well, Mark's here, I'll have
Yeah, keys in it.
See ya, bike.
How good's your theft insurance on it?
I got LoJack on it. Just,
Uh,
sorry about that.
basically, and then we as you can tell by what's in the memo, we've spent a lot of money replacing different parts of both furnaces. We've replaced condenser units in the AC units. It's crazy how many fuses we've gone out.
Is it more of a heating issue or a cooling issue?
It's both.
The answer is yes.
Actually, we have problems with both. And
If there's been I'm interrupting you, but I'm confused. If there's been a problem from the very beginning, why has this not been a warranty situation?
initially, some of it was warranted.
Yep.
And initially, we were getting things warranted in the house, but a lot of it just because of this. Basically, the system wasn't designed correctly. And it was not the fault of the people who installed it, because they installed to what was spec'd by the architects, mechanical engineers. And that's what they, that's.
I know that there is a feeling like, who can we go after to pay for this?
Yeah.
And I can't help but believe that we could, but not, when it's all said and done, we'd probably spend around $22,000 in legal fees.
Was it something when the bid came in, they tried to retrofit, we believed the words of someone we shouldn't have believed that it'll be just fine? Is that what the problem was?
Well, I don't think anybody on the committee or anybody making
No, I don't think that,
approvals
but
was,
when they did
knowledgeable
the build
enough.
out, yeah.
and that it was
What-
built the way the engineers.
But and both George and I were both on the ad hoc committee for this, and basically, and I have, construction experience and everything else, but not when it comes to heating and ventilation systems and stuff like that. But what is when you hire just like when we hire Cedar Corp, when they bring something to us, you're gonna think, well, okay, that's the best, option for us.
Yeah, I got you.
And basically, in this case, from what we're hearing from the other contractors came in, basically you're saying, yeah, we also, these contractors that gave us these prices also bid on this project initially. And like they said, they have to bid on what's put in front of them. That's what they have to do. And they have to install what's put in front of them. But now you're having these problems, and the biggest thing, like both these contractors are saying, is you have too many zones in this building right now. We have way too many thermostats. And basically what we need to do is go from those two very large furnaces downstairs and the two very large air conditioner units down to 3 smaller units, and take the zones and isolate the zones better to actually make the system work.
Well, my concern is
There's
about
also
this.
going to have to be ventilation to the roof that's going to have to be done, because
Yeah.
now with another furnace, you're going to need another stack going up. And they checked the access that goes to the roof now. There isn't enough room to get another ventilation stack in. So, but
Well, all these pipes are buried under concrete.
well, the thing is, most of the adjustments and everything else can be done down in the mechanical room
Okay.
itself. So, but there is going to have to be reducting down there and stuff like that, because you're going to have 3 furnaces down there instead of 2 large furnaces.
If we proceed with this, and we're spending $22,000 for capital, what don't we do next year then? I mean, it's kind of a zero-sum game. If we spend it here, we're not going to spend it someplace else, so what would we
Actually,
not do?
Actually, at the board level, I believe money was already set aside for this.
Oh, really? I
Yes.
don't recall that.
Yes, it was actually back the same time you guys set aside money for the truck and the.
We
and
included
the
another
skid-
20 grand in that?
Yeah.
For
Yes.
this?
Gloria did have you
I-
guys put money in.
Good, I don't recall
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
but-
it was actually back, I want to say it was either May or June that went to the board.
Okay.
I would have to look back, but I'm pretty
I think it was
positive.
before that, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we looked at that number and we couldn't, how could we have anticipated $21,500 on that?
I wanted to say that we put a initial number from, because we initially got the first bid in May, that gave us a rough number and everything else, and then we waited for the second one, because what we did is, both contractors had their engineers actually relook at the entire blueprints of the building. So their new engineering firms mechanical engineering firms have looked at these plans, looked at the existing plans, and came up with what they actually believe are changes needed.
Is
So
this
we-
gonna come with any kind of a warranty?
It should actually, I want to say both of them had 2-year warranties on it.
It'll take 2 years before we figure out if it's working the right way.
Let's see.
When did we build this? '06, '07?
Yeah.
7.
Yep, moved in 8.
The grand opening was in April of '08. We've been fighting this, you're right, we've been fighting it since, I would say, July of '08.
Yeah.
The first 90-degree day.
Well, you can talk to anybody who works in here, and depending on what office they're in, they'll complain it's too warm or too cold.
My
You'll
office
see
is,
people who are wearing jackets
Yeah.
in July because it's so cold, and other people in the same building are complaining that it's too hot.
It's a rough life.
So the equipment works fine, it's just not zoned properly
No,
as
it
far as
is, actually.
thermostats?
Actually, what it is, the equipment is too large. What they're doing is the 2 furnaces and everything else trying to trying to take care of the zones, everything else, are actually so large that the fan motors and everything else are constantly going, trying to shift the air around. And what the electronic dampers they got on there are supposed to automatically close. So one room's thermostat decides, okay, there's too much cold air coming in here, that damper will shut down. And that'll now send more air to the other zone. Everything else.
It overthinks itself.
Yeah, and basically, and we have then, well, 2 different companies have basically took the little memory board down there and have done everything to that thing to try to get it to work better and everything else, but what it does, it just keeps frying these damper motors.
Right.
So at one time, you'll get one room that won't get any air at all, and the other room, it's like, there's been times where you open up the Sarge's office back in the back corner, and the curtains are standing straight out because there's so much air coming up through that, through those ductworks that it's been known to happen. Plus,
Okay, we've got 2 large furnaces that work fine, but we've got incorrect zoning,
well,
and we've got now a bid to replace them, go from 2 to 3 furnaces. What happens to the old furnaces, or is that factored into the bid? Because there's certainly value there.
Somebody scores on those.
Someplace there's value in those 2 furnaces.
I'll take those air conditioners.
and both of them, it has them that it can be up to the thing, either, say, removal of the existing equipment will be left with the owner or dispose of the units, our choice. What do we want to do with them?
Dispose. I'll take them. What the heck?
There's got to be value there.
There is.
You would
Air
think, yeah,
conditioners,
that's that old.
If you guys dispose of them, I'll
Jeez.
put them on my roof.
No.
Those things are nice. They're just fine. I don't have an opinion about this.
Well, the only
No.
thing that sticks in my craw is we're in a relatively new building and we're replacing the capital equipment. I'm not pointing any fingers, I'm just saying that it probably sticks in all of our
Oh,
craw.
yeah.
Yeah, and let's say how it is.
Yeah.
We're replacing good equipment.
Yeah.
That works, but it's just not.
It wasn't engineered right
It's
for this
not
building.
engineered right.
Yeah.
Keyword.
Well,
This
the best thing I heard you say is that we set some money aside. I don't recall that. I honestly don't.
I can
So
double
I'm pleasantly surprised to have you say that.
Yeah, I will double check with Gloria, but I'm sure I remember the conversation. I remember you going to the board meeting and everything else. I remember it doing at the same time the truck, funding for the truck did.
What's the pleasure of the committee? Chair would entertain a motion.
I think that we got one here. I recommend that we have River Falls Heating replace the existing heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system at the North Hudson Village Hall with the system indicated on the proposal at a cost not to exceed $21,500.
Is there a second?
Yes.
It's Been moved and seconded to proceed with correcting the deficiencies that we've got, which would, we have a lengthy motion from River Falls Heating. Is there any additional discussion? I think we've probably,
I do have-
Work that one around.
We can sell.
pardon me?
Is
Yeah,
there a
I-
way we can sell
Well-
the air conditioning and the heaters,
Yeah.
the furnaces?
Yeah, I don't think that needs to be in the motion.
No, it doesn't.
The bid from River Falls is to replace it, and it does not include the equipment. So when they're done, we've got 2 furnaces and 2 air conditioning units that, in my opinion, do not get hauled to the trash.
Right.
They have value,
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
and they need to be appropriately sold, and get some return on that original capital investment. But I don't think it needs to be in the motion.
I'm not disagreeing. One of my concerns, and Mark helped me with this, because I'm going back now to 2007, when there was this huge hole out there, and if I remember correctly, we lowered those furnaces in before we put the deck on, didn't we?
Yes, we did, but
And,
actually, we can,
Can we get them out?
Well, the AC units are more valuable than the furnaces, am I correct? in saying
I
that?
would think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, that,
AC units are sitting outside.
yeah, they're outside.
oh, that's why I didn't ask about that.
Yeah.
But I'm
Okay.
concerned about the furnaces, because I think they were brought in,
Yeah,
they
they
were
were.
lowered.
They might stay down there.
But, well, they can actually dismantle,
Yeah,
parts of it
dismantle.
can be dismantled, some.
The stove that was down
my
there was
recommendation-
taken
But I'm curious
apart and
now, we
lifted
have
out.
no access to that mechanical room in terms of a window excavation or anything? There's no access to that room?
There's a 3-foot door, and then it's right across from the lift.
Yeah, but I'm concerned that those furnaces are bigger than what the lift can accommodate.
What I'm saying is, all furnaces can be dismantled at
Oh,
some,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and actually put back together, you know, it can be done.
Well, I guess
Saying
that would
yes,
have to be figured
my
out.
recommendation would be is, you know, if you're, I guess your recommendation should say something is, you know, save the AC units, but if possible, save the furnace units to be sold, or, you know, because it's gonna be iffy on the furnaces.
Between that and the truck, we just might as well have it north as an auction.
Let's have a garage sale.
There's
Okay.
another one bidder.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, carries unanimously. That will be a recommendation to Village Finance and Village Board. Okay, Public Works budget. And Mark, before you walk us through this a little bit, and this is obviously very early and preliminary.
Yeah, well, actually, what I did is the,
Here's my question before you walk us through it. I'm concerned, this year, as this committee knows, we wound up not doing any street sealing. We used the street sealing funds for the hot patching and for the crack filling, and we did no seal coating. And it does not appear to me, unless I'm not understanding this correctly, that there is nothing in here for seal coating in 2014.
basically what I did right now is I left them opened, just basically,
My point is, we're already playing catch-up.
but the biggest thing is, I think what we have to do is all those numbers have to be, be raised. I don't know where the funds would come from or anything else, but, that's the problem. Every single year, our crack filling budget keeps going up, our seal coating keeps going up. I mean, all of them are going up, and that's it. And we're falling so far behind on this stuff that it's just gonna keep going up. The list is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and,
Yeah.
and that's another part of budget we have to think about, and like I basically gave that to you guys, this more or less for the year-to-date stuff. To kind of go over, like I said, this is early in our thing, but the other thing we gotta start looking at is, what are we gonna classify as projects? We got a street this year, we're just patching, are we, and that probably, next
Should be
year,
replaced.
next year, we're gonna have to do more patching on it, or we look at a project of,
Talking about Lakeview?
correct.
Yeah. There is some funding that's been, grant dollars that have been allocated towards that project. LRIP money.
What concerns me is I see increases also, and I'm wondering if some of these increases are there so that we can back off when crunch time comes and we can't increase the levy.
No, but if you actually look at where the increases are, it's stuff that's basically, one of them, I'm not sure which one you actually, if you tell me which.
Oh, even the little ones?
Yep.
And so what I would have to ask is, at the end, the last page, I'd like to see something that says percentage increase over 2013 budget. And if it's greater than 0, we'll have to have a discussion.
Yeah, well, like I
Would you
said,
agree, Darrell?
I would agree.
Yep.
I'm serious, it's a zero-sum game. I mean, if we spend it here, we can't spend it there,
Yep.
because there isn't any more money.
Yep.
And then no more cops to fire.
Are there any highlights in here that you want to particularly at this point draw our attention to, Mark? The biggest sticks above the water?
No, well, the biggest thing is that we got to figure out what we're going to do for, like I said, for crack filling and seal coating, And then,
I'm disappointed, don't want to belabor this because I'm not pointing any fingers, but I'm disappointed that the full board did not follow the unanimous recommendation of this committee and at least do some amount
Yeah.
of seal coating this year, because apparently did not understand. It's like the Fram oil filter. Boy, you pay me now or you pay me later.
Everything was fine
We did
until the
nothing
comment
this
came
year.
up.
It rolls downhill.
Yeah.
I was at that meeting, everything was fine until it just, one comment was made and everyone kind of went towards it. I can't remember the comment, but it just got shot in the foot
Yeah.
over one statement.
Yeah.
and my biggest, and, Kevin, I might be wrong, but I just, there really ain't no cheaper way I can see on how you seal coat the streets than what we're doing right now. There's absolutely nothing else out there that's
No.
cheaper. Everything else is actually more expensive.
Yep.
And it's just not gonna get, it's not gonna get cheaper. It's just-
And the seal coat is the oil and pea gravel, right? Pea rock?
Correct.
Yep.
That's
what
good
actually,
stuff.
that's what actually seals the streets.
Yep.
Well, it's like the cheapest thing is to do nothing.
But in the long run, you're gonna
And
end
then
up,
you
You're
can
gonna have
replace
to-
it.
Total
What
recall.
Darrell just said, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
in the long run, you're gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in a northern
Sooner.
climate like this, if you don't maintain the street surface that you've got, the thawing and the freezing through a winter deteriorates a road so fast, then you're rebuilding roads, you're not maintaining roads.
Right now, we're basically, all we're doing is just with the crack filling and the hot patching, all we're doing is trying to stay in front of the game a little bit. And, you can crack fill and seal coat and everything else, and now you're holding the water out from the thing, but it's not, without the seal coat, you're really not taking care of the problem. You're just maintaining the problem, and that's basically,
We have replaced a seemingly inordinate amount of catch basins and other infrastructure projects this year, seemingly not related just to the recent storm damage. Yeah, I mean, some of that was the storm damage, but we've had other ones too.
yeah, we've had,
Are we starting to look at a deteriorating trend of catch basins that we're going to see that escalating in the future?
correct.
Which means a bigger and bigger number to replace
Correct.
catch basins.
Yes. You're also going to see, basically, we had the first storm sewer expense you guys had was this year when the sinkhole developed right down by the bridge. And that was because of a storm sewer pipe that runs
Yep.
underneath the highway gave
Yep.
way.
Yep.
And it was my crew and Zappa Brothers and the highway department all working together out there to get that thing fixed, to get traffic back open. And then we had the county come back in and repave it for us. But, that was over $4,000 there just in having Zappas do the storm sewer work, and then also, over 1,500 to have the county come in and repave it, back to the state specs.
Where's the tons of money that the general public think we have? It's gotta be here, because I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's a state trunk highway, why didn't the state pay for it?
Because infrastructure underneath that state trunk highway belongs to the village of North Hudson.
Yeah.
The state does not have storm sewers.
All right. Good answer.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, not what you want to
You
hear.
change that attitude.
By very,
Our road was good. It was.
actually, I'm very worried about what's underneath that highway right now. I know we have sections of storm sewer pipe that are totally gone.
Chair, how do we get
You
the?
can tell how the curb is sinking away on some parts of it.
Mr. Reddy, I'll take that as a rhetorical question. I don't know. I think there are some on the full board that think that
Just happened.
it just happens.
Yeah.
The most visible thing that the public sees is the quality of your streets and roads.
That's right.
And if I hear one comment that gets repeated a lot, it's the quality of the roads in the village in comparison to the roads in the city of Hudson.
That's right.
And I hear people tell me that they hope our roads don't ever get as bad as the roads in the city. I try not to get into that conversation, but the truth is,
We're getting close.
we are deteriorating. Our roads are suffering a lot of wear and tear and damage, and if we don't maintain them, we're going to be in that situation. And then to play catch up, and that's where my concern is on seal coating. With no seal coating this year, we start next year already behind
With a bigger price tag.
with a bigger price tag.
Yep. Goes up every
And if
year.
we have a winter like we did this last winter, you already know.
Yes.
I mean, I learned it from you. It just gets worse.
We never stuck in as much cold mix, which is patchy material. This, any past years we did this year. Basically, that's why part of your thing underneath your crack fill and the seal coating, you'll notice where I raised the street maintenance thing up. It's $500 just because I'm afraid,
Well, let's hope we have a tame winter.
I'm not telling you that.
Even if we don't have big snowstorms, and suppose instead of snow, it's rain, well, it's still gonna get cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
The ice is what actually does the damage.
and
Yeah.
it's it's not the snow.
When the rain gets into it's when the water gets into the pavement itself through the
Got it.
cracks and even the minor cracks. Which crack filling doesn't take care of the very minor cracks, those are for seal coating, but once you don't have them seal coated, the rain gets in there and makes those minor cracks major cracks.
Well, we'll need to do some additional heavy lifting on this budget, but gentlemen, I think the responsibility of this committee is going to be to have our colleagues on the board understand that we can't continually delay the maintenance of the road infrastructure and think that somehow this magically, if we pass it off to another year, then we just start from scratch, because we don't. We start behind, and we're getting farther and farther behind, and this has been going on for a number of years, where we've been delaying and moving some money from one to another just to get by, and we've been, for the last several years, falling farther and farther behind, and it can't continue.
And it is our responsibility to
It
I
is.
don't want to say fight the board, but it's our responsibility to get this done for the people.
It is.
No one wants the price tag, but everyone wants the nice
Yep.
road.
Yep.
When we look at the budget, with the PD, we very reluctantly found that the only way was to let one of the officers go. When I look at Public Works, there's no one.
We're understaffed now.
Yeah, you can't.
There isn't anybody there to let go.
Yeah. And I'm concerned too that, we could be facing a retirement in the near future.
Correct.
Or two. And then, there's that task. replacement. And what concerns me, the more I think about it, is then the board might take the approach, well, why don't we just replace one of the two? And then we're even further behind the eight ball. Hudson PD did that. Yeah.
Anything else from this, Mark? We'll be revisiting this more.
Like I said, I think we gotta, as far as a capital project, I think it should be Lakeview Drive, but I think basically we have to figure out, as a, committee, or yes, more or less Kevin and I have to sit down, figure out what would be the best way to do the project, bring it to you guys, your recommendation, do we do a full project, because you have part of that street that does not have sanitary sewer.
That's right. Is that a 3 road? Is that a Pacer 3?
It's down, it's pretty low.
I think it
It's
is.
real low, yeah.
Okay. Kevin, engineers report.
The only thing, if you remember, the Pacer ratings are every 2 years.
Mhm.
The last one we did was in 2011, so that is coming up due at the end of this year.
Okay.
So more of, I guess, leads into item number 9, a future agenda item that we should probably get started on. So if we could include that as part of next month's meeting,
Absolutely.
and that is all I have.
Mark, get that on the agenda.
Yep.
Snow removal discussion.
This basically, just to give you an update, as you all know.
Are we looking at a change there?
Well, what it is basically our current contract with Jornstedts is basically coming to an end of this month. I have been talking to Denny. His feelings is he would still like to assist the village with snow removal. Yeah, but basically.
He doesn't want to do it like.
He doesn't want to do it like it was done before. Basically, what he would rather do is he was saying he would rather be a subcontractor under the village. Actually, he'd work for us. Everything else. His biggest thing is what we used to be is we all plowed during both village and his crew plowed during whenever a large snow thing comes, and we would still do that. But what it was is he was actually on call for salting and everything else during nights and weekends. What he would like to do is have it so he's been doing this now for 16 years. This was his 16th season. And basically what he is saying, he would like to be able to step back and actually have it off. And what he's basically saying, he would like to be able to do it every other weekend or maybe every third weekend. So then that means public works personnel would actually have to start covering on weekends and everything else as far as for silting and doing some cleanup. But the thing is, it's going to mean more overtime for us. But the thing is, what we're trying to do is, and I thought I had another contractor lined up until he took a full-time position with one of the other counties to actually come in. He was also going to help out as a subcontractor to help relieve some of the things. So right now, I'm kind of still working on trying to get somebody else to take that spot. So we'll have enough people to cover, as far as on-call rotation, between public works staff, so contractors.
By the September meeting, do you think you will have a specific proposal to lay in front of us for discussion? And
that's what I'm going to have, and then also another thing, just to try it, I am also going to, be talking to the city of Hudson, because they last year told us that, maybe there's a chance they have some equipment over there. They could let us try to see if it would help speed up our snow removal, which our snow removal goes fairly fast, even compared to theirs. But just with some of the equipment size, maybe it would help us out. Something for us to think about in the future. So I'm going to try and arrange that with Tom, maybe during summer snowfalls, if we can get like a loader over here and see how it works, cleaning out our cul-de-sacs.
well, I really encourage to see if there's something that we can do cooperatively. And you remember my discussion from last year. If there's an appropriate way to share personnel or equipment or do something in lower costs, I'm all for it.
But
Would we be renting this, the truck and the material in it? Or the truck, the material, and the driver?
well, if we go in with the city and everything else, then we'll be renting their equipment with their material.
And their personnel.
well, either their personnel or our personnel driving their equipment.
That could be a big difference.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, myself, only reason why I would like to see the two municipalities stay separate is because with our separate police departments, there's quite a few times that our police department is calling us out at different times that they're being called. And it's, and there's quite a few times where they're out earlier in the house just because they do their Second Street downtown area, and we don't necessarily have to be out at that time.
Any chance that
Let's see what we can figure out.
any chance that we could have an agreement with the county for snow removal? I just throw that out as another option.
It's possible we don't go out and look for that kind of work. And it would be harder to mobilize
Yeah.
because here you've got the easy access to equipment.
I don't even believe that between the city and us, it's going to be that easy to move. The times are just not.
When the county provides that kind of service to a municipality, it's an all-in, we do it like for Town of Hudson. We do all of Town of Hudson's work
Right.
under contract with Town of Hudson. I mean, that's a totally different thing.
And I don't mean this at all, anything bad towards the city of Hudson. I know Tom and his crew do a great job, with the equipment they have to work with and the streets they got, and they have a lot of streets.
Yes, they do.
They have a lot of streets, and the biggest thing is, I want to make sure that, if my concern is what happens if, they're saying that we could use the third loader, they're saying we could use one of their trucks with a blade in the house, and something happens to their equipment, then all of a sudden they need their equipment back.
Because their equipment's beaten up. I mean, it gets beaten up.
Yeah, and that's it. Accidents happen. We've had trucks go down. I know the city's had multiple trucks go down during an event. We've had multiple trucks go down during an event. It happens. It just does.
Well, I encourage the conversation.
Yeah, but
All right, have something in front of us next month so that we can look at where we're at next month. Man, September already? Wow.
Yeah, I
Talking
know.
less than 3
Crazy.
months, we could be looking at snow removal.
Okay, Mark put together a good list of the storm damage related costs. I don't know if everyone was tracking with all of that, but we did have a lengthy list of items, and
Is that the one you're referring to?
that list is going to get longer.
well, it's number 8, and I marked number 8. Why can't I find it now?
Is this what you were looking for?
Remember, it's on two sides here, George.
Yeah, I got it marked number 8.
Basically, there was a meeting with FEMA. We had myself and the police chief attended last Friday morning at the government center, where everybody that was going to be turning in claims to FEMA for this, and they actually told us some extra things that, initially, before you can never add labor to cleaning up storm debris. That was not allowed. FEMA would not pay you for regular hours worked. They would not pay you for equipment used during regular hours and anything else, or actually even during overtime. You only charge your staff hours, for your overtime staff. But this year, they initially told us when they were here for the FEMA meeting here at the Village Hall, it's like, no, you can charge for all your labor. So that's why labor costs are on there. Well, at this last FEMA meeting the chief and I attended out at the government center, they told us, oh no, you can also include all your equipment hours. So that means our trucks, our loader, that is not on there yet. I'm still working on that list, so that list is going to grow.
What would you estimate then at this point as far as our storm-related costs for the village on an all-in basis? What do you think we're looking at?
I think we're going to be right around, if not a little over $70,000.
That's quite a storm for a little village.
Two-day storm.
And also thing too is now we found that we got a settling area down on Monroe Street that we never had before.
Great.
So we actually thinking that we might have had a lot of water go through or into, there's 2 bell boxes in that area and everything else, and we don't know if we got water flow that went through there that undermined the street. So, but we have been noticing that is settling in that area.
What that tells me is that they're probably using the clay pipe for some of that storm drain, that old storm drain stuff.
It's possible. We don't know what's causing it.
Can we get turned in right away as a claim or not?
Well, actually, with them, and they told us up until we actually turn in the final documentation paperwork, which is in 30 days. Anything we find up until that time, as long as we document it and get it on that forms that actually the chief has, because he's our acting emergency management.
Right.
But as long as we get them on those forms, they're still there. So I already told Gary
Tell me
Two
there's
of
not
us-
gonna be any problem getting
two of
this
us,
money.
the two of us have to meet, and actually what they're the way it's kind of talking is like we could get back, was it 92.5%.
There's your road repair budget.
No, that's just paying the costs of what we've incurred.
I know.
Why 92%? We'll give a third world country 100%.
How they come up with that.
Okay, anything else from anybody?
Can we please talk about the streets again? It's kind of bugging me, and I want to bring it up at the next meeting, that don't get down on us. It's the responsibility of us three to make sure that when people go home, they're not complaining about us not doing our jobs. If the roads look good, they're gonna be happy. We all know it. I love Ellen Street. I love my sidewalk. I don't wanna live, remember Summer Street? Was it 2 years ago? I'd avoid that road. And I'm not bearing anyone else. I mean, I just would avoid it. I'm not gonna drive up it. Now look at it. It's beautiful. Everyone should have that opportunity, right?
Well, future agenda, let's make sure we do discuss streets. We'll talk about the budget next month, and I agree with you, Paul. We need to be the advocates. This is the Public Works Committee. We need to be the advocates for the streets and the infrastructure of the village with our colleagues and with our citizens. So.
We also need to be able to tell our colleagues on the board, give them some suggestions on how we're going to pay for it. Because that is, I don't think anybody on the board is against us maintaining our very good roads. But they're going to say the same thing we're asking, where's the money coming
Right.
from?
Right, that point well made, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and with that, our agenda is complete, and we're adjourned.